Thank you all very much. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Look, if there's an oxymoron in American life, it is the phrase humble anchorman. We don't exist. But this is truly a humbling experience to stand on this stage and to be preceded by the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, my good friend Mike Mullen, and by Gary Sinise and by Congressman Duckworth. It really does put in perspective, I think, for all of us, the idea of public service and giving back to our country. I would just like to say at the outset, however, that Mike, Admiral in the United States Navy, obviously, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, I was the anchorman for NBC Nightly News, the captain of our own ship, but the fact is that the two of us really do serve under the command of Deborah Mullen. That's why we are here tonight. She's home not feeling well, but she said, you will be there tonight, and we are here. First of all, I want to thank all of you for being here, and I want to honor you for your presence, because by your presence here tonight, you understand the mission that is before all of us, which is to honor our fellow citizens who put on the uniform of their country, men and women, and go into harm's way, and do that without any expectation of some kind of recognition. And the least that we owe them is to bring them back into our civilian society in a way that they will fit in and find the kind of life that they deserve to have. Now, I have been dealing with this for some time, obviously, during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, but also before that, because I came out of the Vietnam generation. And although I was not called to serve during that time, I did lose one of my closest friends, and I was witness to my contemporaries and what they went through when they came back. And so when these wars began, I obviously became deeply involved. But it is rooted, in fact, in the book that I wrote called The Greatest Generation, because those men and women who went through the Greatest Depression and then the war and then came home and never complained, didn't go on Dr. Phil or Oprah. They didn't go on Drew. They didn't write blogs about how they were being maltreated. They simply worked hard to give us the country that we have today. And so for me, with my commitment now to the contemporary needs of veterans, I'm constantly reminded of the symbolism of that generation. And there was no more powerful photograph for me in the last year than a photograph that some of you may have seen. You'll recall that we lost Annie Inouye, the senator from Hawaii, who belatedly earned the Medal of Honor for his heroic actions in Italy. And one of his very closest friends after the war, as a result of sharing a ward in Grand Rapids, Michigan, was a young man who was from northern Kansas, who had suffered grievous wounds in the Italian campaign. And they shared a ward with a third man who was from Michigan, came from a wealthy and powerfully connected family, who didn't have to get into combat, but he was wounded on D-Day. It was Phil Hart, Democrat of Michigan, Bob Dole, Republican of Kansas, and Annie Inouye of Hawaii. And while they were repairing their bodies, they talked about what they wanted to do with their lives. And they decided that public service would always be the single most important component. And they had a reunion in the United States Senate. And they served honorably and productively for this country, Republicans and Democrats alike, and gave us the kind of legislation that moved us all forward. And when we lost Danny in December, there was this haunting photograph in the Capitol Rotunda as his body lay in state beneath a flag-draped casket of Bob Dole standing over it at night, his body slightly bent, but his salute erect. And the caption described how he had been wheeled into the rotunda and said to his handlers and assistants, "I don't want Danny to see me in a wheelchair. I want to say farewell to my friend by standing at his side." A Republican from Kansas and a Democrat from Hawaii who served this country in uniform and in civilian clothing without ever asking, are you from a blue state or from a red state? Are you a member of the Tea Party? They had one common cause, which was to advance the welfare of everybody in this country, in wartime and in peace. We can have no greater, it seems to me, inspiration than that photograph. And personally, I can have no greater commitment or my own inspiration from all of you who are here tonight with your dedication to the causes of veterans in our society and the others that the Easter Seals serve as well, having spent the day at the Intergenerational Center and having been so deeply moved by the work that I saw there on the part of the staff and the joy of the people who were there. So thank you all very much, because you have done something that I think all of us have to think about every day. As we get up, and we're not expected to put on a Kevlar vest or get into a Stryker brigade or into a Humvee, lock and load a weapon, the least that we can do, and by your presence here tonight, you have demonstrated that you do that, the least that we can do on a daily basis is to re-enlist as citizens. Thank you all very much. Thank you.